Welcome to Sunday dinner. This is our chance as a family to share the love and passion we have for cooking with you, the audience, our friends and family. Sunday dinner is a big deal to us. It's time we all get together, talk about our week, talk about our upcoming week, but more importantly, work together on an incredible family meal. In this first episode of Sunday dinner, we're going to feature butter chicken. This has very quickly become one of my family's favorite recipes, requested weekend after weekend. As you can see right here in front of us, we have a lot of incredible ingredients. We're going to share these in the descriptions below, our website, sundaydinnerblog.com, as well as our Facebook site. Please go check us out. All right, the first process in a great butter chicken is to make tandoori chicken. We prefer grilling it over charcoal that gives the chicken incredible flavor. The first part of this process, though, is marinating the chicken. We're going to go through this step first and foremost, which we'll go through step by step from start to finish. All right, with that being said, let's get to marinating. All right, welcome back. As I mentioned before, the first step here is marinating the tandoori chicken. As you can see here, we have 8 chicken thighs. We did leave the skin on, which is not necessarily traditional to this dish. However, when grilling, we find that it adds flavor to the dish. One other really important point that I want to point out here are the slits in the chicken here. By slitting all the way through the meat and to the bone, it's going to allow the entire marinade to penetrate the meat and deliver maximum flavor. So really important point here. So don't skip this. Next here we have all our ingredients. I'm going to start out right here with our Kashmiri chili powder. We use 2 tablespoons for this. As a note here, the American version of chili powder will not work for this recipe as it doesn't deliver the same punch nor same taste. Going around the plate here, we have 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. Very important with this amount of meat that you use at least this amount of salt here. Next, we have 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. We have 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, and 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder. One of the most important ingredients to this dish, though, lies in this spice mix. This is Garam Masala. We're going to use an entire tablespoon of Garam Masala to this dish. This is going to be important both to the marinade as well as the entire butter chicken dish. Next here we have 1 tablespoon of dried Kasoori Methi. This is dried fenugreek leaves. Here we have 1 tablespoon of ginger paste, 1 tablespoon of garlic paste, and 1 lime to help with the acidity of the marinade. Okay, next we have here 1 full cup of plain yogurt. You can use a little bit more or a little bit less depending on how much chicken you're using, but what we found is for this amount of spice and this amount of chicken, 1 cup works perfectly. There's one other ingredient I'm going to mention. This is red food coloring. This is a little controversial. It's obviously not natural. A lot of tandoori chicken recipes call for it. You can decide to use it or not. I'm going to use just a few drops here, which I'm going to pour into the yogurt. You see here, not much, but just a little bit to add to the color and presentation. Again, if you don't want to do this, if you want to keep this more natural, the red chili, the Kashmiri chili powder here will probably provide you the color you're looking for. Okay, next thing here, we're going to go ahead and just juice our entire lime into the yogurt. This really helps cut the acidity or help the acidity to penetrate the meat for the marinade. And if you want, you can substitute lemon, which is actually probably a little more traditional to this dish, but we found that we like lime juice. So I'm just going to juice this whole lime. All right. Next, we're going to add everything right here all at once here. And again, you don't need to just add one at a time. You can just go ahead and pour it all in. As you see, all this is going to mix together before we put it all over to the chicken. Okay. All right. I'm just going to whisk this all around in the yogurt. You're going to see it combine and create that incredible reddish orange classic tandoori chicken look that you're used to seeing. Oh yeah. Guys, I wish y'all had smell-o-vision. This smells truly incredible. I'm just going to whisk it to where I can see all of the great spices that we're using here combined. And guys, can't wait to try it. All right, now that we have that all combined, I'm gonna get a big bowl and put all of our chicken in here. And this is where I'm gonna start using my hands. All right, Now that we got our chicken in here, we're gonna put all this marinade all over the chicken. Like I mentioned, 1 cup of yogurt to this spice blend, I find coats the entire amount of chicken, stays on and holds that spice flavor to the meat as you cook it. All right, there we go. All right, while I blend this, I'm gonna talk about how long you need to marinate this for. You can do this 20, 30 minutes before your meal, probably be fine. I'll tell you, we really like to do it all the way overnight. We feel like that allows the spices to really get in there in your meat and deliver maximum flavor. So that's what we're gonna do in our recipe. But again, if you're pinched for time, don't skip this part of it. It still needs to rest for at least 20 to 30 minutes to let those flavors combine as well as mix into the meat. All right, as you see, I'm trying to make sure I'm getting it into the skin, into the crevices that we talked about, and coating the entire meat. All right, guys, that looks pretty good to me. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up in foil, put it back in the refrigerator, and let it sit overnight. I can't wait to show y'all how we're gonna grill this, how much flavor it's gonna pack, and then to add this to the butter chicken. All right, look forward to seeing y'all soon. All right, welcome back, everyone. Well, here's the portion of the show we're gonna actually start doing the grilling of our tandoori chicken. As you can see here, we have let this marinate, as we discussed, 24 hours since last night, and we're ready to start grilling here. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put each piece down, and I'm gonna do skin side up. And I'm gonna do this side for about 10 minutes, and then flip it 2 to 3 more times for an additional, call it 10 to 15 minutes, depending how fast they're cooking. All right. And again, very important skin side up here. And I'm gonna kind of adjust the skin to where it's not gonna flap over into the charcoals. I'm gonna kind of spread these 8 pieces around the grill here. As you can see, we're doing this on charcoal. We obviously don't have our own tandoori oven, but again, the charcoal grilling of this really, we think, adds a ton of additional flavor to the entire dish. So that's it for this process. We're gonna rejoin you once the tandoori chicken is done grilling. We're gonna start the process of the sauce for the butter chicken. Welcome back. As you can see, we just pulled the tandoori chicken off the grill, which we grilled for right at 22 minutes. This truly looks and smells incredible. And this is where one of the most difficult parts of the entire process starts, to not eat the tandoori chicken prior to finishing the sauce. With that, the next steps here is we're gonna cut this into really large bite-sized pieces and let that sit, and we're gonna add that at the very end of the sauce process. With that, now we're gonna start our sauce. For the butter chicken sauce, I'm gonna start by going through all the ingredients we're gonna use in order of how we're gonna add them. Here you can see we have 2 small red onions, which we kind of finely to coarsely chopped. We're gonna start by sauteing those. Next here we have 12 vine-ripened tomatoes. You can use Roma tomatoes, you can use large hothouse tomatoes, and use a few less, but the point here is try to find the ripest tomatoes you can find for this dish. Next, right here, we have around 5 cloves of garlic, which we've coarsely chopped. We have 1 shallot, also coarsely chopped. We then have about 3 to 4 inches of ground ginger, of what I use, 3 to 4 inches. I don't like to use the center of it, so try to concentrate using just the real fleshy outside part. Next, we have 1 Thai bird's eye chili, as well as 3 or 4 of our peri-peri chilies that we grow in our garden. Here we have 3 cups of chicken stock. Now, I don't know that we're gonna use all 3 cups. I have 3 cups here. Really, we're gonna look for a consistency, and I'm gonna kind of show you that as we go through the process. Here, we have 1 cup of fresh cashew nuts. Next, we have 2 tablespoons of kosher salt, which I'm gonna kind of add throughout the entire process to make sure we're extracting all of the sweet goodness from our vegetables. Here we have 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic, 2 tablespoons of that same Kashmiri chili powder in which we use for the tandoori chicken. This is fantastic, you're gonna love it, but it's very important again, Kashmiri Indian chili powder, not the American version. Next here we have the Indian spice mix Garam Masala. We have 1 full tablespoon. Then we have here 1 tablespoon of Kasoori Methi, or again, the dried fenugreek leaves. You're gonna see before we add these, we're actually gonna toast those to bring out the maximum flavor from this spice. Next, we have about 8 tablespoons of butter, which we're using unsalted Kerrygold butter, and we have ½ a cup of heavy cream. All right, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna take a couple big pats of butter here and put this to our already hot pan, as well as add some extra virgin olive oil. All right. As you can see, we've already got this pan nice and hot. We're gonna go ahead and add our red onions. We're gonna sweat these down for about 5 or 6 minutes before we start adding additional vegetables. Okay? One thing that's important in this process, anytime you're cooking any type of onion, is that go ahead, again, add some of that kosher salt. That's really gonna help bring the sweetness out of the onions. Okay. With that, I'm gonna stir them all around, make sure they're all separated, and kind of let them go. Again, we're gonna come back here in about 3 or 4 minutes. Once these have started to sweat down, we're gonna start adding the rest of our vegetables. All right, now that the onions have been sweating down for around 4 or 5 minutes, and you kind of see they become translucent, we're gonna start by adding our garlic, as well as our shallot, our ginger paste, as well as our peppers. All right. And again, if we like adding the peppers as we like ours a little bit spicy. If it's something that you really don't like anything too spicy, you can absolutely cut down on both the Kashmiri chili powder as well as the Thai bird's eye pepper that we added to this dish. Just as I did before with the onion, I'm gonna add a little bit more kosher salt, again, to bring out the sweetness and the onions and shallots and garlic here to help that cooking process. All right, we're gonna let this cook for another 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're gonna move on to the next process. All right, it's been 3 or 4 more minutes and our garlic and shallot are all nicely sauteed. We're now gonna start by adding the rest of our ingredients. Here are 12 tomatoes. All right. We just kind of mix those around and incorporate those within the onions, shallot, and garlic, and ginger mixture that we have here. All right, again, now we're gonna add again a little more kosher salt. Get that mixed in. We're gonna have one other ingredient I didn't mention at the beginning of the recipe, but a little bit of malt vinegar here. This is about a tablespoon, the whole recipe. We're then gonna add the 1 cup of cashews, the 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons of Kashmiri Indian powder. In fact, you can see it coats the entire dish, truly delicious, and the Garam Masala. So we still haven't added the Kasoori Methi. We're gonna let this cook down. We're gonna incorporate this ingredients real quick. Just kind of mix it in, really nice. Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and add our chicken stock. Most dishes that I see here call for water. We find that the chicken stocks add a little bit more richness. Now, again, right in the beginning, you can see this is about the consistency. I don't want these floating in the sauce. I want that sauce to be right, or the chicken stock to be right around the top of the vegetables. And here you can see of the 3 cups, I think we've probably used about 2 3/4 of it. So I'm just gonna leave it right there. That looks like just the right consistency I'm looking for. All right, now I'm gonna make sure all the spices are well mixed into this. We really need to now cook this really, really well. It's gonna be about 15 to 20 minutes. We're gonna get this to a nice, slow rolling boil, or almost just a nice, slow saute rather, and cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes until all of the tomatoes are really nice and soft, the onions are soft, the cashews are starting their softening process, and then we'll see you back right when we're done with that process. All right, you can see now the tomatoes are really starting to soften, the skin's starting to peel back, everything's really starting to come together. It's been about 10 to 12 minutes. We're gonna let this go for about another 10 minutes to make sure everything is really well mixed. The onions, the tomatoes, everything's really nice and softened, preparing us to then blend it all together. The butter chicken sauce has now been simmering right at 22 minutes and is truly combined exactly how we're looking for. You see, everything's kind of broken down here. The chicken stock has reduced, it's starting to become more saucy. And now's the point in time we are gonna add our Kasoori Methi. But before I just add the Kasoori Methi, what I have here is a hot, small omelet pan. And I'm just gonna sprinkle this in here. And I started with a tablespoon of Kasoori Methi. And looking at this, I cook a lot by feel. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna add the entire tablespoon. I'm probably gonna add about more like a teaspoon. You're gonna see what I'm doing here is just slightly toasting the Kasoori Methi. And man, you can see it browning already. Perfect, that's it. So now I'm gonna add about that much, which I'm gonna say is right about maybe a teaspoon, a little more than a teaspoon. I'm gonna combine this and let it cook for about 1 more minute. And after that minute, then we're gonna start moving on to the phase. We're gonna mix this all together with the emulsion blender. All right, it's been about 22 minutes. Like I said, our sauce looks spectacular and it's time to get it all blended together. We're gonna use our emulsion blender. Warren here, help me out. Start to pour it in there. There you go. Come on. There you go. Pour it all in there. There we go. Okay. Set that aside. We're gonna put our sauce back in there in just 1 minute. Now we're gonna use the emulsion blender and get this all blended together. I will be honest, you're probably gonna make a little bit of a mess. Key here is to kind of keep it on the bottom. Kind of barely lift up. It's gonna take a while. You keep it on the bottom, rotating around in a circular motion, slowly lifting it off the bottom. As you can see, as you lift it off, we'll try to create pressure. Come in a little closer if you don't mind. As you can see, as I slowly do this is circulating and getting finer and finer and finer. We're going to keep doing this for 2 or 3, 5 minutes even until we can get this as smooth as we can get it before we move it back to the bowl and go through a wire whisk. All right, we'll return in just a minute. All right, so it took us about 5 more minutes of using the emulsion blender here, and if you can see this here, it's definitely got a lot more smooth here and almost creamy if you can sit here and look at it here. So the next step is to take our sauce here and we're gonna run it through our wire sieve. So the traditional name of this dish is Murgh Makhani. Murgh being the Indian, being the Indian name for chicken. The second being Makhani, or the word for butter. Now that translates into silky smooth. So go ahead, Warren, go and start pouring. Keep going. Keep going. Go ahead, let's fill this all the way up. Pour a little faster. Perfect. Keep going. A little faster. All the way up. You stop right there. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sit here and strain this slowly through the wire sieve. And that's going to make this really, really smooth. And it's going to remove all the skin and the seeds and any excess from the tomatoes that may be in the sauce. And if you come take a really close look up now it's this sauce is truly velvety and liquid. Velvety smooth. All right, we're gonna do this batch after batch. You can see it slowly going down. It's gonna take us a while. We're gonna sit here and go through the sieve and just press, go around the sieve. And you can see it getting thicker and thicker. And that's that excess I was talking about. All the skin and seeds that we're trying to remove from the sauce. All right, so this is gonna take us 4 or 5 batches and we'll return here shortly. All right, we have now pressed this to where now, as you can see here, all is left is this real thick paste, which again is all of the skin and seeds and everything that's kind of left. We don't want to go that or use that. So we're gonna kind of come over here, put this away. And as you can see here, this sauce now is truly just spectacular. Smells incredible, velvety, velvety smooth. Okay, I've turned the sauce now on low. I'm gonna bring it up to about, just right about medium. Now is where we're gonna add our butter from the butter chicken sauce. This is probably somewhere between 4 and 6 tablespoons of butter we're gonna add to the entire dish. All right. Now, of the half cup that we poured here, I'm gonna pour the majority of the entire, I'm gonna reserve just a touch to use for finishing. Now with this on medium heat, I'm gonna stir it in. You're gonna see the sauce turn from that dark orangish color and slightly kind of lighten up with the introduction of the butter and cream. Okay. We're gonna cook this for about 3 or 4 minutes, not too long, just until the cream and butter start to come up to temperature and all melt and combine. Then we're gonna finalize this dish here by adding the chicken and then letting that cook for about 3 to 5 minutes just to make sure the chicken is well heated through and combined, and we'll be ready to plate. All right, everyone, look forward to finishing this. This is smelling incredible. All right, we've now waited about 2 or 3 minutes, and you can see here the butter and the cream have all combined. Sauce is looking spectacular, very velvety. Now we're gonna add all of our chicken and all the juices that may have collected there. Just add to the entire flavor. All right, that's beautiful. All of that beautiful tandoori chicken now added to our cream sauce or butter chicken sauce. We're gonna let this come back to temperature and not necessarily get to right to a saute. Let's say about 3 to 5 minutes, and where the chicken is making sure that it's all nice and hot, and we're gonna be ready to plate and serve. This is spectacular. Look forward to sharing this with you. All right, the chicken now has been back in the sauce for about 5 to 7 minutes, and everything just came up right to a small simmer, and we have cut off the heat. It is perfect and ready to plate. All right. Some nice big chunks of chicken in there. A little bit of that chicken skin we love as an add here to this dish. Oh. Now my son will love this, but I wish you had smell-o-vision. All right, we're gonna finish these bowls off with a little bit of the reserve cream. And a little sprig of cilantro in each. Well, I really want to thank everybody for joining tonight in our first episode of Sunday Dinner. Bon appetit. We look forward to sharing another Sunday dinner with you soon. Thanks for joining.